Hey guys, it's Meal Before Me, and I'm back with another food review. This time we're checking out Devour. It's a line of frozen meals from Kraft Heinz, and I don't know much about the history of it or its target audience, so we can skip all of that today, but I always got the feeling that it was meant to appeal to people who like to eat hearty and fuel themselves for workouts. Maybe because a lot of the marketing was around protein. Now, full disclosure, I have tried Devour before, but only 3 of them, and they've been my favorite frozen brand for a few years based just on those. So while I've been exploring what other brands have to offer, I decided it was time to review Devour too. It just took a while because it almost never goes on sale. The website currently shows 20 meals, but my grocery only had 8, so I got all of them. They're $4.79 each regular price, and were on sale for $3. The ones I grabbed range from 9 to 12 ounces. They used to have the sweet and tangy pulled pork one at my store, which is one of the meals I tried, but I only got to try it once before they stopped carrying it. The other 2 that I've had, I eat all the time. Now enough talk, because we're all here to answer one question, and if you've been watching my channel for a while, you know what it is. How does it taste? And I'm ready to jump in, so let's get these heated up. To the table! As always, with these grocery reviews, I'm going to show you the footage and tell you my thoughts over it. And I'll be rating these by taste and repeatability, meaning would I eat it again? Starting with the 2 I've tried before to get them out of the way. The first is the Smokehouse Meat and potatoes, which I love. The chicken tastes real, and it's tender with a grilled flavor. The sausage and smoked bacon give it a salty, savory punch. The potatoes are a nice roasted texture, and the barbecue sauce has a deep, smoky sweetness that brings everything together. I think some people may find this too salty overall, but for me, it's just right. This is my go-to frozen meal. That means repeatability is obviously yes. The second one is the buffalo chicken style mac and cheese. The chicken here has a nugget texture that usually puts me off, but combined with the noodles and cheese, I actually prefer it. It has that signature buffalo flavor without too much heat if you're worried about that. There's barely any. And while the cheese never seems to fully melt into a smooth sauce, the clumpy texture adds a little something to it that I like. I won't say it's the best frozen meal I've had. I mainly get it to have something different from the other one, but I do enjoy it, and it fills me up despite not looking like it would. So repeatability is yes. Now let's get into the ones I've never had before, starting with the cheesy potatoes, Angus beef and bacon. The potatoes had a really nice texture with bite on the outside and fluffiness on the inside, and they were well seasoned. The beef had that weird cube shape I don't like, but the texture biting into it was fine. And while the flavor was really nice and beefy, I think the chunky queso and mozzarella really made this meal. It had a tiny bit of heat, so if you're someone who doesn't like spicy food, I don't think this would bother you. It's kind of a milder flavor, and the bacon bits add these needed pops of salt. It's a very interesting combination that I don't think I've seen in a frozen meal before, and I'm a fan of the flavor profile, so repeatability for this one is yes. Next was the chicken Cordon Bleu mac and cheese. Now I was a bit wary of this one because Cordon Bleu isn't my thing. I don't like Swiss cheese in most cases, and I don't like ham and chicken together. But the chicken again had a natural texture with a grilled taste, and there were big chunks of it, though not that many. The sauce did have that funky sweetness that I don't like from Swiss cheese, and while I expected not to like it, the flavor of the uncured ham balanced it out in a really nice way that I'm not used to, so I wish there was more ham. The standout for me though was the sauce. It was so much creamier and thicker than the sauce in any other brand I've tried, and the noodles were great. Not just al dente, but thick. And I've mentioned before that some meals taste like the pasta was cooked in water without any salt. That's not the case here. The noodles taste seasoned. So for repeatability, I went into this one thinking I'd say no, but it's a yes. I'd eat this again. Then we had the Tortellini Alfredo with Italian sausage. The tortellini was stuffed with cheese, but I'm not sure what kind. Maybe it was ricotta. And I liked that you could really bite into it and taste the cheese. A lot of these frozen meals are so skimpy with the filling that the tortellini would have basically been empty. So I like the fact that this tastes like tortellini I would have gotten from something else. I'm also not usually a fan of Alfredo sauce in frozen meals, but the intense flavor of the sausage elevates it here, while the sauce mellows the sausage out, because the sausage is way too salty on its own. Now, one thing I've noticed at this point, besides the quality of everything, was that the ingredients all blend well together rather than tasting like individual things thrown together. So I was really excited to be doing this review, and I hadn't tasted anything bad yet. Repeatability for this one is yes. Next was the white cheddar mac and cheese. There was a ton of grease on the bottom of the tray with this one, and I don't know where it came from because it wasn't on my microwave plate, but oh my god, this meal. I'm already a big fan of white cheddar anything, but this sauce was so thick and creamy and salty and cheddary, and the pasta, which, isn't the kind I've seen in frozen meal before, let alone for mac and cheese. I think it's called gemelli, but it was perfect in thickness, shape, and length for the sauce to just cling to it and for me to have an enjoyable bite sinking my teeth into it. Even the applewood smoked bacon, which I usually don't like because it has a fruity sweetness that doesn't match a lot of what it's in, here it doesn't take anything away from the pasta and it doesn't add anything except that I like meat, and thanks to the bacon it has some. But this would be just as good without it. Really delicious. The repeatability is yes. Next was the double chicken creamy Alfredo ravioli, and sadly it was the first miss. The ravioli was stuffed with chicken and ricotta, though not very much of it, and for it to be the one that said it was creamy on the box, it had the thinnest sauce, and it wasn't even enough to coat everything. The ravioli skin was very thick and satisfying to bite into, but something was just really off about the flavor of the filling. It kind of tasted more like tuna than chicken, though the chicken on the outside was nice and salty, which I think the ravioli needed. And while the portion seemed small, the thickness of the ravioli still made it feel filling to eat. I didn't taste any of the mozzarella and honestly wouldn't have known there was any in there had it not said it on the box, and everything tasted overly like roasted red peppers, which is probably my biggest complaint. The flavor profiles just didn't do it for me here, so for repeatability, would I eat this again? Absolutely not. Maybe for free, but I definitely won't be buying it. Finally, we had the Cajun Alfredo with sausage and chicken. This sausage was very salty and had more of a ham flavor, and the sauce was very peppery and earthy. I think it had the same noodles as the white cheddar mac, and I love that pasta so much that I decided to buy it the next time I get groceries to make my own dishes with. There was some mozzarella here too, but I didn't really taste it, and there was so little of it anyway that they honestly could have just left it out. The chicken had a great texture again, nothing rubbery or spongy or woody, and the peppers didn't come through as much as they could here since they were chopped very small. Question: are you in the camp that thinks bell peppers all taste the same regardless of color? Because they don't, and I've never understood the taste buds of folks who say they do. Here, you get some of the grassy bitterness of the green with some of the fruitier notes of the red. And if you're used to Cajun food tasting very spicy, this doesn't at all. It's just peppery, like black pepper. And for repeatability, would I eat it again? Yes. It's not my favorite here, but it is tasty and is different enough from all the other ones that I think I'd get it from time to time just to switch things up. So, getting into my final thoughts, I'm kind of mad that I never tried more of these meals because these were fantastic. Everything had a ton of flavor without that frozen stank on it. None of the meat textures were unnatural, even if some of the shapes were. None of the sauces were watered down. They were actually the richest I've ever had, making me rethink what the heck these other brands are doing. If I had to compare it to another brand that isn't frozen, their sauces remind me of Reezers or Risers, whichever it is, but they're mac and cheese. I remember trying that for the first time and the creaminess of it sticking in my mind. That's what the sauces here are like, minus the ravioli. That one was a step back. And unlike a lot of other brands, there were no weird ingredients ruining these combinations. So I feel like more thought went into the recipes, even though they're a lot simpler. The only way I think I could improve Devour would be to have something that's more veggie forward, or maybe just a simple veggie dish that has a lot of flavor. I think Devour could pull it off. So I don't know what to say here because I went into this saying that, this is my favorite brand, but, it was only based on 2 things that I eat all the time, so that doesn't really mean a lot. But now that I've tried a few more, I think I can definitely say, no, this is my favorite frozen brand because it's just a really good frozen brand. And while I really like the 2 that I buy often, there are other options here that were better, so I now have more meals to fill my freezer with when they're on sale. This actually makes me even more annoyed that my grocery doesn't have their other options, like the breakfast meals. I'd also be very curious to see what the sandwich and pizza are like, because the fact that they nail tasty pastas, sauces, and meats doesn't mean they'll nail the texture of bread and dough. Still, for what I had, this is a really great choice for frozen across the board, and at $3, it's not breaking the bank compared to anything else I've reviewed on the channel so far. But let me know if you've tried Devour, especially the ones that I couldn't get. I'm just really curious about them. Thanks so much for watching MBM, and I'll see you snackies when I'm backies.